Hi, Eric here. I'm going to show you in this video how to take this basic problem that we had set up and we are going to turn it into a variablized problem. And I'm going to start showing you how you can use random code to generate multiple versions of the same problem. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make a new copy. So that old one we saved, we keep that as is. And now we're going to make a variablized problem. So, what would I want to change in this problem? The only thing I really need to change in this problem is the initial velocity value. All the rest of it's a very simple problem. So the rest of it's going to stay the same. So I turn on variablized problem. That button showed up. And now what also showed up is this variables section. So let's start adding in our variables. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in G. And yeah, typing the extra 0.0 might seem unnecessary, but it's not, and I'll show you why later. For right now, instead of the random code, I'm going to type in 18.0, so we should have the exact same problem. In this case, the math was just V0 divided by G. Now, I left off the negative sign because of the whole direction thing, so I suppose if I were being totally honest, I should do the following. Let's make that a negative. And then we are going to come in here, and this is, we're going to do -1 times G. And that will give us the proper version of our answer. I'm going to type in here ants equals T. Our answer equals T. That might seem also redundant. In this case, we don't have any rounding to do. In the future, we will have rounding, so I'm going to keep the t calculated, and then we're going to round here. Okay, so now we have to tell the system that, hey, I want answer to be the correct answer. And the way we do that is we have our own little bit of code. I call it the V script. %v curly bracket, and then the variable I want to reference. And that will give me now the correct answer as answer. And you can also do inside these curly brackets, you can do a little bit of math. So %v curly bracket -1 times answer. And in this case, since we've left it the basic values, those will once again be 0.8, 1.8, and -1.8. So if we test drive this, we should see, if I type in -1.8, there's that error message again to watch your signs. Okay, but up here in this problem, we haven't changed anything yet. So we need to make sure that we change the problem body to reference those variables down below. So I'm going to come in here to my initial velocity, and I'm going to use the V code, %v curly bracket, and this was V0. And then I also did G. I'm going to come down here and go %v curly bracket G curly bracket, save. Now, the values are in there as 18.0 and -10.0. However, they're going to get displayed without the decimals. That, as a teacher, would irk me. I would want to make sure we force those displayed decimals. So there's code to make that happen. And in this case, I know I'm telling the students I want 2 decimal places, so I'm going to put 2 decimal places in here by using something called a sprintf command. And there's documentation for this on my website. Sprintf %.2f comma, and then a bracket, and since it's going to be the exact same sprintf command down here, we add that in, we add in the close bracket, save the problem body, test drive it again, and this time it is forcing the display to go out to 2 decimal places, whereas before it ignores zeros, and it does not show them by default. And don't forget that we need to bring this code into our hints. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to copy that code for the V0, G is essentially the same. We'll just change that as we need to. Don't need to change anything here in the hint. Oh, except for G, we'll have to change that. So let's go ahead and let's change that. So just in case we decide later on that maybe we want to variabilize G, maybe we want to give different problems on different planets. So if we change this now, it'll make it easier to change later. So there's our two G's fixed. And we're going to come down here and we're going to add in the values for V0. That goes there, V0 is correct. This goes here, V0 is correct, V0. And now let's fix the G's. This guy here, because the G got brought over to the other side, we can go ahead and inside of here, we can still do that code. We can still do a little bit of math. -1 times G, and that will be proper. This should display 10.00. Lastly here, I'm going to save this. And now let's go ahead and test drive and make use of the hints. And there we go. There's my G to 2 decimal places, G to 2 decimal places. We've got my V0 to 2, G to 2, negative G to 2, negative G to 2, and V0. So we have done that correctly. All of the places where we had 10.0 and 18.0 have been replaced. Oops, missing one. I'll fix that later. They've been replaced, and then we can update those later on by variabilizing.